All right, so your primary advice is don't dwell on this kind of stuff.
Don't dwell on it.
You know, just rebuke that, walk away from that thought, you know. But the reality is this is the kind of stuff that wakes people up in the middle of the night.
Sure.
There's a smell, there's a sound, there's a song on the radio. It reminds you of that person, and now you're thinking about them, and then your heart is going to go to that.
Yeah.
And I think it's at that point that when you do remember them, that you have got to entrust yourself to Christ and the righteousness in His righteous judgment, that He will do right. Because judgment has been given to the Son. He's going to execute judgment on the earth. The wrath of the Lamb is going to be fierce.
We're recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this question we've got was, how does a believer handle grief when a family member or close friend has passed away that wasn't saved?
Yeah.
What do you say or feel?
Well, I've got those. I don't know if you have any of those.
Yeah.
My dad was in that category.
Yeah.
Growing
up in cultural Christianity, I've got several of those that were, it's like iffy.
Yeah.
It's like they profess Christ, but you didn't really see it wasn't the defining aspect of their life. Christ didn't define them.
Yeah, so if it happened,
but they profess faith.
Yeah. So if faith happened, if God regenerated them, I wasn't witness to it, and I didn't see it evidenced in their life over time.
I didn't see the fruit. May have been fruit, but I didn't see it.
This is the situation that I found myself with my dad. I mean, there was no fruit ever in his life. I shared the gospel with him. My son shared the gospel with him. But I'm not omniscient. I wasn't with him at all times.
Yeah.
I wasn't with him at the moment of his death. I don't know precisely. I do know that my God is generous.
Yep.
And He rewards weak faith.
We know He desires that men be saved.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hang my, to think, well, yeah, he got saved, I just didn't witness it. But there is that reality that I don't know everything. And I certainly don't know my dad's prior experiences with gospel proclamation, where God, so it was evident to me that my dad was hardened in his sin, and was not a believer. So I will be pleasantly surprised if we get to heaven and my dad's there.
Yeah.
So how do I think about that? How do I grieve that? I trust in the Lord that He does right.
Yeah.
He will do right in this situation.
Yeah, you've heard me talk about Rick Yandel. He's an older gentleman that discipled me when I was a younger man. I was late teens, early 20s. And one of the things he always said was, he always wanted to assume the best. He didn't want to try to preach people into heaven after the fact, but he wanted to assume the best. He said, because if you sit around thinking about that, it doesn't do anything good for your heart.
Yeah.
And I remember him telling me that because he had lots of unsaved family members.
Yeah.
And for him, it was too heavy if he sat around thinking about all of his family members that, man, they're probably in hell.
Yeah.
And if he sat around thinking about it, didn't do anything good for his heart. And so whenever I was a young Christian, I was Calvinism cage stage at that point, for sure. And I remember him not rebuking me, but just gently reminding me that you need to think the best, hope the best. Yeah, maybe hope the best is the better way to put that. But at the end of the day, when we get to heaven, we will not be sad because there are those that are in hell. And that's hard for us to conceive of, think about. I even think about that. I've got 7 children. Not all of them are professed faith yet.
Yeah.
And so, that is something that I've laid awake at night thinking about. But it doesn't do good things for my heart. What it should do is drive us to our duty to share the gospel, to drive us to our duty to disciple those around us. That's what it should do. That thought that I don't want my family members, I don't want my friends, I don't want anybody that I encounter on the street to end up in hell. But if we sit around just thinking about it, it's hard on us because we can't see everything clearly as we will We will see things more clearly. We will understand the justice of God. We will understand why it was right that God made hell.
We'll rejoice with God.
We will rejoice that justice was done because it's right and it's good. And at the end of the day, the scriptures say that the judge of all the earth will do right. And when the judge passes sentence and the gavel falls, we recognize when we think of a court case, you think about the gentleman that stabbed the little boy to death in Kentucky that they just released after 10 years. He came in the house, brutally stabbed him to death.
Claimed insanity,
Well, he did it so hard the knife bent. This is a little bitty boy. I think he's like 6 or 7. And he just brutally murdered him. Well, if I'm in a courtroom and the judge drops that gavel and sentences him to be hung, I'm rejoicing because that's justice. And so it's going to be a similar thing.
We'll see the horror of the sin.
We'll see the horror of our own
honestly,
sin
I had
and
heard,
everyone else's.
I'd heard that statement.
I'd
heard about what he had done. But even you saying that the knife bent, that makes me even more.
Of course,
And so what is all you did was giving me further details to recognize how sinful sin was.
Yes.
And that's what's going to happen on Judgment Day is we will see that. All right, so your primary advice is don't dwell on this kind of stuff.
Don't dwell on it.
Just rebuke that, walk away from that thought, But the reality is this is the kind of stuff that wakes people up in the middle of the night.
Sure.
There's a smell, there's a sound, there's a song on the radio that reminds you of that person, and now you're thinking about them, and then your heart is going to go to that. And I think it's at that point that. When you do remember them, that you have got to entrust yourself to Christ and the righteousness in His righteous judgment, that He will do right. Because judgment has been given to the Son. He's going to execute judgment on the earth. The wrath of the Lamb is going to be fierce, and
it's good.
And it's good.
Yes.
And you will rejoice when that happens. But
I think there's a struggle because we recognize that should be us. Judgment should have fallen on us if we were not in Christ, if Christ had not graciously saved us. And so it feels wrong to be like, no, that's a good thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like we'd call it survivor guilt.
Sure.
When a plane crashes and everybody dies and you're the only person that was saved, that person, that they feel guilty, why was I spared? And that's really what I would call somebody to do. One, don't dwell on it. Rebuke that thought. Secondly, look to Christ, trust in Him that He's going to do right. And then third, I would say, look at yourself and recognize that God was gracious to you. Rejoice that God has spared you in those moments. I think that's got to be the threefold attack to dealing with grieving lost loved ones that die without faith in Christ.
We got to recognize we live in a fallen world, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And it is hard.
Yeah.
I think of the movie with Mel Gibson, We Were Soldiers.
Okay.
After the battle, he's going off kind of by himself, and he's just bawling. This strong man that you would think is just unbreakable.
Yeah.
He's just breaking down bawling, and one of the guys sees him, and he says, "Why? Why do you feel guilty? Why are you Because he tells him, I feel guilty, and he said, because my men died and I didn't, and he feels guilty. He gets to go home to his family, and his men didn't. And so there's a reality of that in a fallen world. It's like, I am burdened by the fact that I'm not going to be punished for my sins, and someone on the street is. That's a burden, but we should take that and turn it towards sharing the gospel and trusting God. I don't know how people that don't rest in the sovereignty of God go through this world. I really don't. I don't know how Armenians go through the world.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So anyway.
Well, this was a local question, and I love local questions. And so I think just want to invite people, if you've got questions that you want a couple of pastors to knock out, would like to.
I think you do the same thing you do with any heavy thought. You take it to Christ, and you give it to Him, and you trust in Him. You lay it at His feet, and you say, it all belongs to you. You will do good. You will do right.
I feel rebuked by your statement, because this was actually what I said in my sermon yesterday, and I didn't start with that, is that often when we were presented with something heavy, we know of people that have lost their children, just in a miscarriage, or they're wrestling with some doctrine. we immediately go to other people for answers. How do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? Yeah, I get that. Have you gone to Christ to say, Lord, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
Lord, help me to understand this.
Yeah.
Give me wisdom in this moment. I'm grieving over the death of my friend, whatever, who wasn't saved. Will you, through your word, enlighten me on how I should understand this?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That should be our response.
First and foremost. So there's fourfold. That, don't dwell on it. Second, trust the sovereignty of God. And then third, really.
And it's a good impulse. It should grieve us.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be walking around and be like, yeah, they deserved it.
Yeah.
That's a good impulse that this grieves us. But we take our grief and we give it to Christ, just like we take everything and give it to Christ.
That's good.
So.
That's good.
Anyway.
All right, brother. This is a good one.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.